What's always growing in different directions? Branches! Welcome to Monkey Boys Toys, and welcome back to the item of seating furniture that consistently proves itself to be the sofa! Thanks very much for joining me again. Here's a small bunch of grapes to look at. Now, today I'm going to be talking about some Funko products. I know. I realise Funko have probably long outstayed their welcome with the overwhelming and, quite frankly, ludicrous amount of Funko Pops they've produced. But I'm not here to talk about those. Today I'd like to draw your attention to their Savage World line. So before I get into that, I guess I should probably remove the grapes from the shop. There we go. They are gone. So, the Funko Savage World line is a line of 5.5-inch scale bulky figures in the style of Masters of the Universe figures. They're pretty cool. I'll pop some pictures up as I'm talking so that you don't just have to look at the back of my sofa. But I'll just tell you a little bit about the line before we get into it. I believe the Savage World line started in 2018 with a series of 5 horror-related figures, all of which were licensed franchises. Some of those we will be looking at a bit later, so that we can ease ourselves into the spooky season as Halloween is fast approaching. But first I just want to mention some of the other licenses that Funko acquired for the Savage World range. These include, in 2018, a range of Thundercats figures. There were 8 produced in total, 4 main heroes and 4 villains. For example, here we've got Panthro. It looks pretty cool. We have Chitara, and the Mumra figure in particular looks very cool. So I'm very impressed with those ones. This franchise was followed up in 2019 with a Street Fighter license. I'm not sure exactly how many of these were produced, but they did make several characters, some of which had colour variants or chase variants. If we have a look here, this is, for an example, we've got Blanca here on the left, the standard version, and on the right we have the chase version. I believe there were chase versions of Chun-Li, but the Street Fighter line was quite an interesting one. Funko also produced a line very similar to Savage World. It was called DC Primal Age. Again, they were very similar form factor, the bulky Motu style figures. But the Primal Age range was quite extensive actually. It had lots of characters, including all of the Justice League, several DC villains. There are quite a few to collect. Obviously, you've seen just a few on the screen that I've popped up there, but there are many more to check out. I could easily see myself collecting the Thundercats line because there are only 8 to collect, and I think they all look really cool. I think they come across very well in that form factor. They look good in the sort of bulkier aspect, so I think they're pretty cool. So yeah, that's a little bit about the Savage World and the Primal Age line. But yes, as I say, because Halloween is approaching, I thought we'd have a look at some horror characters today. So let's start by having a look at this one, which is Leatherface from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Now you can see what I mean about the sort of bulkier Motu style figures. I mean, I would have loved these as a kid to play alongside my Motu figures. That would have been pretty cool. The Savage World line, they are heavily inspired by the movies, but obviously because they are bulkier, they do look a little bit different. Leatherface here, you'll see, comes with a detachable chainsaw for his hand, and also this mallet thing that he's got here, and they can just clip onto the end of his hand here. I think it's a shame that they didn't display him in the box or on the card with one of the weapons attached, perhaps the chainsaw. But anyway, there we go. I must say, the first time I saw this line, I actually thought they were bootlegs or knockoffs. I didn't notice the little Funko symbol down here in the corner, and I just thought somebody had sort of produced some rip-off figures. But no, these are genuine licenses that Funko have acquired. I don't really want to spoil the Freddy figure, but let's just, on the back here we've got the 5 figures that are available in the range. But we'll have a look at the back of the card perhaps when we look at the Freddy figure. But there we go. So there's Leatherface, looking pretty cool. He's got some blood spatters on his chest and on his apron there. So looking, similar to how we would expect him to see. How we would expect to see him. Sorry, I'm having trouble with words. So there we go. There's Leatherface. Let me just pop him over to the back there, and we'll have a look at the next figure, which is actually my favourite figure in the range, and it's Jason Voorhees. Now, Jason is my favourite horror character, so I was always going to like this figure. I think he looks really cool. They've done the mask pretty well. As you can see to the side, that the mask is damaged, and you can see some of his teeth in there. This particular example I've got was difficult to find, and the bubble is a bit crushed and stuff, but I think it still displays very nicely. Jason comes with a knife, sort of a bone-handled knife, and a bone axe here. So I guess there's this kind of medieval look to these characters, certainly some of them. I mean, obviously Jason didn't wear a loincloth or whatever it is he's got on there, but we can still identify that it is supposed to be Jason, and it looks pretty cool. I know the back of the figure also has some good detail with his top ripped and some ribs showing on the back as well. But obviously I'll be keeping these on the card because I think they display really nicely, and they've got this kind of cheap knockoff look to them, which I quite enjoy, actually, to be honest. But as we can see from the Friday the 13th logo at the top there, it is a licensed product. So yeah. Anyway, there's Jason. Let's pop him just there, and I'll bring in the most bizarre figure in the line. And this was actually the first one I ever saw, which made me think it was a bootleg because it was so peculiar. And now this is a weird one. Prepare yourself for Freddy Krueger. This is the most peculiar of them, I think. I mean, yes, I guess you can sort of tell that it's meant to be Freddy Krueger. We have got a nod to his red and green striped sweater with this garment that he's sort of wearing across his chest here. And obviously we can see all the scars and burns on his body there. Again, it's a kind of medieval take on the character. I'm not quite sure why they chose to give him a hood like that. That seems a peculiar design choice. I think it would have been better if he'd have just had a bald head. If they didn't want to have a sort of contemporary fedora hat on him, they could have maybe just had him being bald, perhaps. I do think it's an odd design. Probably the weirdest one in the range. He does come with a clip-on glove here that you can sort of see. It's quite a heavily stylized one, and I think it's only, oh no, it has got four. Yes, it's got 4 blades on it, but it does look peculiar. If we flip it around to the back, we can see that also in the range we get Michael Myers from Halloween Resurrection. Bizarrely, I'm not sure why they didn't get the license for the first film, but there we go. That's Michael Myers. And we also have Pinhead, which is quite a cool character. This one from Hellraiser 3, which again seems a bit peculiar, but there's Pinhead looking pretty cool. One thing I did want to point out with this horror line is that the folks over at Funko obviously haven't done their research or spell checking very well, because Michael Myers, his surname is spelt wrong. That is not how you spell Myers for this character. And also, this figure, Freddy, also has his surname spelled wrong. The character's name is Freddy Krueger, and this says Freddy Krueger. So I'm not quite sure how those spelling mistakes got through the quality control, or sort of pre-production. Nobody kind of pointed out to the guys that they'd spelled the names wrong. So that's sort of interesting in and of itself, I suppose. I don't have the Pinhead or the Michael Myers figure. I would perhaps like to get those in the future, but we'll see if I can find those for a reasonable price at some point. But there we go. So that's just easing us into the spooky season with a few horror-related items there. I hope you enjoyed looking at this Funko Savage World line. You may or may not have come across it before, but I do encourage you to investigate it if it's something that interests you. They can be picked up for reasonable prices at the moment still. Some of them are a bit harder to get, but yes, as I say, it's something that I would continue to collect, and I'm very interested in the Thundercats figures, so I perhaps will investigate those at some point. But yeah, that's about it for today, guys. Thanks very much for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please do give it a thumbs up and share it with any other branches you may know. Do subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, and please leave me a comment and let me know what you think of this range of figures. Do you wish that Funko would produce more of this kind of thing rather than the Funko Pops we are all by now sick to the back teeth of? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. But until next week, I'm going to make like a shepherd and get the flock out of here. See you later. Bye.